Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on One Pawn Saves the Day, a world champion's favorite studies. It was my sponsor, the Beste Zet, which means the best move. It's a web shop for chess books, and they sent me this book by the FIDE master of composition Sergei Tkachenko from Ukraine. He is indeed a world champion. On the back of the book it says Sergei Tkachenko, a member of the Ukrainian team that won the 5th World Chess Composition Tournament in 1997. He has collected 100 studies whose common theme is that white ends up with just one pawn in the finale, yet manages to win or draw. It's a nice little book. I really enjoyed those positions. You can just open the book on a random page and see a magical chess position. I've picked 3 examples for you. This is the first one, composed by A. Galitsky, and it was published in the year 1900. White to play and win. As Tkachenko writes, can white's doubled pawns outplay all 3 black pawns? Yes, they can, and it has a lot to do with the fact that black has a very little elbow room. In the starting position, only the g-pawn can play. Let's try something. White to play and win. Let's try king h3. That doesn't work. Black just takes on h4, and this is a winning position for black. 2 pawns up. Let's try something else. Let's take on g5. Well then, king takes g5, and again black is winning with his extra pawn. So that doesn't work either. What can we do here? How can white win this position? Well, the solution is very simple. It's h2, h3. And now the play is very forced, because as said, black can only play with his g-pawn. And if he plays g4, then the game is over. This is a very nice checkmate position. The black king cornered by its own pawns. What else can black do after h3? Well, there's only one other legal move, and that is to take the pawn. We check. Is that good for black? Well, for a moment it looks that it's okay. 2 pawns up, but now there is king f4. And now only black's second g-pawn can play. Black has no option but to cause his own downfall. g5 check is the only legal move, but then there is king f5. And again, only the g-pawn can play. And after g4, we see h takes g4, and this is checkmate. Quite beautiful. In the initial position, it looks like white is in trouble, being a pawn down. But black's king is so awkwardly placed that white can win with the first very nice move, h2, h3. Let's have a look at study number 2. This position was published in 1923, and it is from O. Duras or Dura. I'm not sure if the S has to be pronounced. White to play and draw this time. White is a rook up, but the rook is attacked, and at the same time black is threatening to promote to a queen, so white is in big trouble. The only way to stop the b-pawn is king c2, and then black can take that rook, of course, and actually wins the game, because after king takes b2, king d3, and for example king c1, king c4, king c2, and king takes b5, this is an easily winning king and pawn endgame with 2 clear pawns extra for black. So let's go back. King c2 on the first move does not work. We don't make a draw that way. But what else is there? How can we stop the b-pawn? Well, there's only one other way to stop the b-pawn, and that is with rook b4. It turns out that shifting black's c-pawn 1 file to the left saves the day for white. Let's see how that works. Rook b4 threatening to take that pawn, so we have to take the rook, c takes b4, and then king c2 to stop the b-pawn. And now it is a draw. And why is it a draw? Let's have a look. King e4, the black king has to help the pawns. King takes makes sense, and then king d4. King b3 attacks the pawn, but black can just in time protect the pawn and attack white's pawn on b5. This 2 against 1 ending is a draw, even though it will be a 2 against 0 ending very soon. How is this a draw? Well, let's first look at what does not work. It looks for a moment that you can play b6 here, because after a takes b6, king a4, then king c4 is stalemate. White has his draw, but after king a4, black plays the very nice move, the only move that wins, b3, giving up that b-pawn. White has to take it, And then after king b5, black wins. This is a very elementary winning position. Let's just show an example. King a3. I just put the moves on the board. Very easy for black to win because the king occupies key squares in front of the pawn. Just to show an example, most of you will know this, but some of you might not have seen this before. And as you can see, the black pawn promotes and it's checkmate on the next move. Black wins. Okay, back to where we were. We were at king c5 and we tried b6 here and we saw that does not work. So how can white make a draw? With a very nice move, king a4 in this position. That makes a draw. And why does it? Well, black really has only one way to continue, and that's with king c4. But now white can play b6, and now it draws on the spot. You really have to take that pawn, because white is threatening to make a queen himself and win. You have to take it, and now we have stalemate on the board, and this game is a draw. Very nice composition from O. Dura or Duras 1923. Let's go to the third position I want to show you, which is number 8 in the book. It is from L. Prakash, published in 1924. White to play and win. Again, white has an extra rook. And black again has a pawn that is about to promote. But as in the first problem, the black king does not have many squares. Let's see how white can win this. It's usually impossible for a rook to survive against a pair of connected pawns like the G and H pawn for black, especially if the pawns are far advanced, but this is an exception. White can still win here. Let's see what we can do. Let's first try and checkmate the black king, starting with b3 check. That looks good. King a3 is then the only move, and then you can take on b5, and you threaten rook a5 checkmate, all very nice. For example, promotion now doesn't work for black because of the checkmate move. So after rook takes b5, black has to play king a2, and then white plays king c2 to keep the black king in its cage. a4, black can play, then rook a5, again with a checkmate threat, but black has a3, and the black king is safe, and the king side pawns cannot be stopped. Black wins. So b3 check on the first move does not work. We have to play rook g5 on the first move. Logical move, threatening to take that pawn. And then black plays h3. Also very logical, protecting that pawn and threatening h2. And now the magic starts. Rook g4 check. b4 check is the only legal reply. And then king c4 to make sure the black king does not escape to b5. Black continues with his plan, h2. Now both pawns are threatening to promote and they cannot be stopped simultaneously. After rook takes g2, this one will promote. So after h2, white has to come up with something good, and he finds rook g3. Why is that good? Why is that a good move? Well, let's have a look. We'll be looking at promotion of the g pawn or the h pawn in a second, but first let's look at another move. Let's look what happens if black plays b3. Then rook takes b3, and you can promote, but rook a3 is checkmate. But what about if we just promote? Let's say we promote the g pawn. Then we have a beautiful checkmate. Of course, we're not taking the queen because black gets a new queen, but after ga1 queen or h1 queen, we see rook a3 check. What a wonderful move. Just giving up that rook, because after b takes a3, there is b3 checkmate, and the book says studies with just one pawn in the finale, and that's indeed what happened here. White only has one pawn left, and that pawn delivers the checkmate. Beautiful construction by L. Prakash, 1924. Tkachenko made a whole series of these books. This is the one on pawns, but he also made books on the other pieces. I'm looking forward to reading the other books as well and studying the positions. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel and please leave a comment. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.